Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Savannah Purple Phoenix, and today we're going to be reviewing Mario Bros. Wonder. Is it good? Should you get it? I'm going to give you my full analysis of the game as someone who's played over 80% of it. At the end of the video, I'm going to let you know if you should buy the game or stay away from it completely, so make sure you stick around for that. Also, this is a spoiler-free video, so anyone can watch it without having any fear of getting the game spoiled for them. Starting off, let's talk about what you will be seeing and hearing the most, and by that, I specifically mean the art style and even the voice actor for the characters. The art style of the game is very reminiscent of what you would see in today's cartoons, which unfortunately doesn't really appeal to the older audiences that grew up in the early 2000s, the 90s, and so forth. This of course makes sense though, because children are Nintendo's main target audience for the game. The game is wacky and colorful, which is definitely something children are going to gravitate towards, and I know if I was still a child playing this game, I would be loving all the colors that are in Mario Wonder. That does not mean adults are not going to enjoy the colorfulness of the game, but I know, according to a few of the adults I have talked to, and even to my own personal preferences, I am not a huge fan of the art style of the game. That doesn't mean that I hate it or they even hate it, it's just not exactly what we are looking forward to in our Mario Brothers games. However, that does not mean that the art style is all bad, it's just something the older audiences are going to have to get used to. I know the art style of games can be a real turn off for some people, so make sure you like what you are seeing before you actually proceed to buy the game. This may not be a big deal for you or even to the children that are playing the game, but if you are a longtime Mario fan, you may or may not know that Charles Martinet is no longer Mario's voice actor. This means that Mario Bros. Wonder has a brand new voice actor for Mario and Luigi, and I think maybe a few of the others, but I'm not exactly sure. This new voice actor is Kevin Afghani. Now, from what I have heard from the voice clips of the game and from me playing it, I do not mind Kevin Afghani's voice acting job for Mario and Luigi. In fact, I think that he did a pretty phenomenal job. The only gripe I have with it is, unfortunately, Mario's voice. Mario does sound significantly different than how he used to when Charles Martinet was still voicing him. So if you are an older player who's been a fan of the Mario games for a while, this may be a bit of a problem for you, but really it's not something to gripe too much about. Now, the big question a lot of people are probably having about the game is, how long is it exactly? Well, there are about 8 worlds in the game, 7 of them being main worlds, and there is 1 special world in the game. In each world, there are about 10 to 20 levels depending on the world. Not all those levels, however, are the really long platforming levels that we're used to in Mario. Some of them are challenge levels or little bonus side quests that you can do in the game. Each main level in the game lasts about a minute to maybe 3 minutes, but they're really never that long, so they are very, very short levels. However, there is an element in the game that can alter the world just a little bit, and that is the Wonder Flower. When you touch the Wonder Flower, you will either transform into a different form, or something will happen to the level itself so that it lengthens the level. Sometimes you can access different areas that you cannot usually access when you have this Wonder Flower, so that does help them be a little bit longer, but they're still unfortunately incredibly short. Something else to note about each level is that there are collectibles inside pretty much every main level. There are 3 10 flower coins that you can collect, which in the old Mario Brothers games those were called the star coins, and then there are 2 to 3 Wonder Seeds, which one of them you can collect by touching the flag, and another you get by using the Wonder Flower itself. If there is a third in the level, there is usually a secret exit somewhere, so you have to go find that in order to obtain that item. Finding all these collectibles, of course, does lengthen the amount of time you can spend in a level, and the cool thing about these levels in this game is that there is no timer for how fast you have to go through them. In previous Mario Brothers games, usually you were given a 300-second timer to run through the level, and in Luigi U, you were only given 100 seconds. So having no timer actually allows you to explore the level even more and really check out every single thing the level has to offer. That still, of course, does not answer the question of how long is this game exactly. So from what I have gathered from my own experience and from reading what other people have said online, I have gathered that the game lasts from anywhere between 10 to 25 hours. And this, of course, will change on how good you are at the game, how many times you die, or just the fact that you want to get all the collectibles. Now, speaking of the difficulty of the game, this game really is not too hard in its base form, which means it's perfect for younger players and even for people who are newer to the platforming genre. Now, for people who are really gung-ho about 100%ing the game, there is a challenge that's offered in the game in the form of the special world. This world has a bunch of levels that will challenge your platforming skills, as well as your ability to navigate through certain obstacles. So playing as the easy characters in the game, which we'll get to in just a minute, that doesn't necessarily help you beat these levels because it is up to you and your skills alone to complete them. What this means, of course, for players who are looking for a challenge in a platforming game, this is simply not it. From my experience personally, the most times I died in a level was maybe 15 to 20 times, and that was in the special world. However, if you're looking for more of an easy play, this is definitely the game for you. Now, for what this game does lack in difficulty, it does make up with its amazing roster of characters. You get to pick from 12 different characters in this game, which is the most amount of characters out of any Mario Brothers game. 7 of these characters are the normal characters and 5 of them are easy. Your normal characters are Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy for the first time in a Mario Brothers game, Blue Toad, Yellow Toad, and Toadette. Your 5 easy characters are from 4 colored Yoshis, and even Nabbit makes a return in this game. Aside from the great variety of characters, one thing that is different between this game and older installments of Mario Brothers is that none of the characters actually have any differences between them. So if you remember, Luigi used to be able to jump higher. He just jumps the same height as all of the other characters. Now, the difference between these 12 is the 5 easy characters will not take any damage, but they can die to falls, but they cannot use power-ups, which is a bit unfortunate, but understandable because they are the easy character and they just simply do not need them. Since we're on the topic of power-ups, we might as well talk about them. There are only 5 power-ups in Mario Brothers Wonder, and that is your Super Mushroom, your returning Fire Flower, and then 3 brand new power-ups, your Elephant, Drill, and Bubble Flower. And these 3 power-ups are actually really cool. So the elephant power-up does exactly what you would think it would do. It turns you into an elephant, which leads to some very cursed looks for some of the characters. I'm looking at you, Blue Toad Elephant.
Oh my God!
Now, as an elephant, you are of course just a little bit bigger than you were when you had a Super Mushroom, which unfortunately means your hitbox is a bit bigger and you can't really fit in those gaps that you used to be able to when you just had a Super Mushroom. However, as an elephant, you can crouch down, and there is a crouch walking ability in this game, so you don't just have to crouch slide like you used to in old games, so you can still fit in gaps that you would have been able to with a Super Mushroom. As an elephant, you can also hit enemies and break blocks with your trunk, and you can hold water in your trunk, which can allow you to water flowers and other parts of the ground, which can spout up coins. The bubble power-up acts in the same way as the bubble Yoshi did in Mario Brothers U, but if you don't really know what that is, basically all you do is you spit out bubbles and enemies can become trapped in those bubbles, ultimately destroying them. The drill mushroom allows you to drill in the ground, which can help you burrow under enemies or even get you on the roof of certain levels. Now, I personally believe this game does not have a lot of power-ups because it was trying to make room for a brand new ability to Mario Brothers known as the badges. If you have a badge equipped, something wacky could happen in the level, or you could gain a new ability, such as a cap parachute, the ability to have an extra jump when you wall jump, or even just to have blocks appear in certain areas of the level. Now, unfortunately, some of the badges in the game are actually worthless, at least for how I played the game. There are a few specific levels, though, that the game does try to push you to use certain badges, but you really don't have to use them in those levels. There are bonus levels, though, that challenge you to use certain badges, and you will of course have to use the badge in those specific levels. This makes for some of the badges just being completely OP and eliminating most of the uses for the other badges. Like, who's really going to use the badge that allows you to have more coins pop out when you're defeating an enemy? That's kind of useless, at least for my experience of the game. Now, what's cool about certain badges is that they do replicate old abilities some of the characters used to have in the Mario Brothers game, such as Peach's floating ability in the form of the cap parachute. Now we might as well talk about the multiplayer aspect of Mario Brothers Wonder, and yes, this game does include multiplayer as it did in previous installments of the series. The big difference between Mario Brothers Wonder and the older games, however, is that this game not only includes couch co-op, but also online multiplayer with random people as well as your Nintendo Switch friends, and we are of course going to talk about both. The main difference between how the players look in couch co-op and online mode is that when you're playing couch co-op, everyone is a tangible being. However, when you're playing online, everyone takes the form of like this ghost that you would see in Mario Kart time trials. This of course means that you cannot throw around your friends or jump on their heads, and you cannot do this either for couch co-op, which honestly doesn't make much sense, but for some reason that's not a feature anymore. Now, instead of bubbles to pop your friends out when they die, you now turn into a ghost, and you have a 5-second timer to be revived before you actually lose a life. This works in both couch co-op and online mode. However, in online mode, if you have these standees, you can revive your friends or even random people from those standees. And yes, you can play with random people in online mode, and you can revive them with the standees, and if you do so, you have a little heart counter, and that will start to increase as you help more and more people. Of course, that doesn't really do anything, it's just a nice badge of honor that you can just see keep going up the more you play. In couch co-op, you can play with 4 people at once, and this is the same for playing with randoms inside the same level as you. On the map though, you can see infinitely many people running around the map that are in your server. I would assume that they put you in servers from my experience of playing online, but if you make a friend lobby for your Nintendo Switch friends, you can have up to 12 people in that lobby. Now, I'm not quite sure honestly how many of them can run around in the level with you. I would think only 4, but it could be all 12. That is something I would have to test out, and you might have to test out yourself, but you are able to play with 12 of your friends all at once. I know online communication was something I really wanted in Mario Brothers Wonder, so I am very happy we got it. I just wish it was implemented a little bit differently. I wish you really didn't have to see people in the form of ghosts. I wish you could bounce on people's heads and throw them around, but I guess it is nice that we do have the online mode, even if I don't end up ever using it. Now here is the final point. How much does this game cost? I've tried my best to sell you on the game, but what is the price tag? You probably already know, but it is $60 US, $65 if you include tax in most areas. And yeah, that's a lot of money, but that's usually how it goes for first-party Mario games. So if you have 10 hours of enjoyment in the game, you're basically paying $6 per hour of enjoyment, which I think is fair. Mario Brothers games usually do not last an extremely long amount of time, so I was expecting somewhere between 10 to 25 hours. I don't think that that is an incredibly short amount of time to spend on Mario Brothers game. I actually think that that's a nice, fair length. Now, should you buy this game? I'm gonna tell you that you should buy this game. Unfortunately, it does have a few things working against it, such as the $60 price tag, the fact that it's not very difficult, and that it's not an incredibly lengthy game. And honestly, I don't really think it's going to receive any DLC, but I'm hoping I am wrong about that. For me personally, I have definitely enjoyed my time in Mario Brothers Wonder. I did not expect it to be as amazing as it is, and there's always something new in every single level to keep me on my toes and engaged with the game, which is very important in any game. And of course, there's definitely enough content in the game to keep everyone engaged as they're playing. There are the collectibles, there are different challenges that you could do in the game that you yourself have made. Maybe you want to just play through the game using only a certain badge. Maybe you want to restrict yourself to using only certain power-ups or even a certain character. There are so many different things that you could do to replay this game, which is great about Mario Brothers games. They usually have amazing replayability. And of course, going back to the collectibles idea, not everyone is going to get all the collectibles the first time they play the game, so you could definitely go back into the game and get all the ones you missed, maybe play some levels that you happen to miss, and try out that special world because it is really challenging. So let me know down in the comments below, are you going to pick up Mario Brothers Wonder? Did I influence your decision in any way to get it? Did I make you decide to not get it, or were you just not going to get it anyway? Let me know that as well. Have you been playing Mario Brothers Wonder? Because I know many in my community have been, and we have been really enjoying the game. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more Mario Wonder content. We are trying to live stream and finish up the game, and I do intend on maybe making more videos for the game, such as walkthroughs on how to get the collectibles, so make sure you stay tuned for those. Also, this was my very first game review video that I have ever made, so let me know how I did if you have any critiques for me, because I would love to hear from y'all and find any way that I can improve my content in the long run. And of course, I want to give a big shout out to our channel members. Thank you all so much for being members. Your support really does bring a smile to my face, and I again cannot say thank you enough for all the support that you're giving me. But that is it for today's video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.